Hi, everybody. Bonnie Smith, Coach B, back with more great information as we continue the group, A Course in Weight Loss by Marianne Williamson. And we are in chapter 3 or lesson 3. And actually, it's getting to the end of the month. Usually, we've been doing a lesson a month. And this has been definitely a very confronting lesson for everyone in the group. And I'm not sure why. Well, I guess the why is probably where there's a lot of turning. The context of the book is to turn your life over to a higher power. It follows the 12-step program philosophy. And that, I guess, could be pretty confronting when there's a lot of incomplete things or a lot of things that have caused us upset in our lives. And so the mantra that Marianne Williamson speaks about is just to continue saying, I cannot, but God can. I cannot, but God can. And that is the mantra. And we read this last week and we just discussed it again this weekend. I can say that that would probably work instead of resisting what's right in front of me, or, you know, the other people in the group agreed, the resistance of different things that are opening up in their lives. And you know what I noticed, and I shared this in the group tonight, is that regardless of what philosophy you're following or where you're at, there's a movement in the world to go to the next step. And they all talk about either shedding whatever doesn't work in your life, from, you know, removing the clutter, to just being complete with any emotional things that happen, or doesn't even have to be emotional, just being complete. But it's easier said than done sometimes. And the notion of just being okay with where you're at, what happened, what didn't happen, what we made everything mean, is really great, because there's the next step. And for me, it's the next step in contribution and making a difference. Everyone may have something different. And so in order for me to get to that next step, there's different things to be complete. And, you know, one of the things she talks about in the chapter, and something made sense to me last week, was I don't know if people know this about me, but I used to weigh over 200 pounds, 210 pounds to be exact. And I was very fortunate because my upstairs neighbor was 16 years old, and my upstairs neighbor had gone to Overeaters Anonymous and introduced me to the program. How she introduced me to the program was that she said when I would babysit, have whatever you want in the refrigerator. And I literally had whatever I wanted in the refrigerator because I didn't monitor what I ate, but she saw it was a problem and I was grateful. So I had started from 16 on at different phases of my life. But Marianne Williamson talks about the healing of the wound. And one of the things that I got really upset about that actually had me leave the 12-step programs for the good or for whatever the next phase of my life was that the particular food disorder program that I was in was very strict, and I liked it because I definitely do like being strict and following rules. But you had to go to 3 meetings a week, which I didn't mind. But as things started thriving in my life, one of the things that I'm very passionate about is, a lot of people know from my Facebook posts and the event that's happening this Wednesday, is my participation in an organization called Tsukio Mahikari, and it's where we get to work with divine light energy. So it parallels everything that I'm committed to. So in my healing, I thought, great, I'll go to 2 meetings of this food disorder program. And one of the meetings, instead of the 3rd meeting, which was a conflict, was to go to a local circle of light. And the sponsor that I had said, well, if you do that, I'm going to have to drop you because you need to go to 3 meetings a week. And this was before virtual meetings were popular, phone meetings were popular. And I got, well, that didn't work for me, because one of the things that I remember, depending again on who was sponsoring you or who was speaking, is this is a program about between you and God, and sponsors are just people. But this particular sponsor only knew from her recovery that that's what worked for her and wouldn't continue working with me. So I was devastated and just said, forget it. You know, there's a lot of, fortunately, and there is a lot of different programs out there, but I am partial to understanding about choosing a higher power and turning my will and life over to a higher power. Well, ironically, there's through a lot of efforts from the community within Sukyo Mahikari, we are now having a Wednesday light circle. And I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to commit to every Wednesday. And then when I went last Wednesday, I said, oh my God, this is exactly what happened. God, it was over 10 years ago. It was probably close to 12 years ago, where all I wanted to do was have at least one day devoted to this particular practice, which is near and dear to my heart. But I haven't been operating like it's been near and dear to my heart. And I got like this amazing epiphany that like how great this is to be able to have this place where I can go and be of service and work with the community and be there if people do want to have the experience of receiving the divine light energy. And it was just so perfect because I could close the wound. I can heal the wound that happened. That was just what was so with this person I was working with. If I maybe had more strength and didn't care, I could have stayed in the program, but I didn't. So now we're back to Marianne Williamson and working with the philosophy again about chapter 3, which is all about building an altar, and it's all about surrendering to the struggle. And so it's exciting and confronting at the same time, because over the years, 12 years, that I haven't really been very enmeshed in this depth of a program, especially where you're talking about relying on God and really turning your life over. It's exciting and frightening at the same time because of just what's next for me, and as well as everyone else that's aligning with reading the book. But I also like what she talked about in the chapter, and she talks about building or planting a mustard seed. And I'm not really versed in the scriptures, but they talk about planting a mustard seed and let God's strength grow from within you. The kingdom of heaven is like a grain of mustard seed that a man took and sowed in his field. It is the smallest of all seeds, but when it has grown, it is the larger than all of the garden plants and becomes a tree. So we all have an opportunity to bloom where we're planted, blossom, and really shine, which is what we're all wanting to do. And there's a lot of really great opportunity with what's happening on the planet, in the world. And I really do believe that each one of us, I'm going to say needs to. I really do believe that each one of us, for me personally, if we're going to really survive as a planet, that we need to just like keep moving forward and trusting that there is something greater than ourselves that is out there to help us along, and to ultimately not only just help us along, but to be able to make a difference for people, our community, people who are suffering. So that's what's happening so far in this chapter, and most likely we'll finish the chapter by next week and move on to chapter 4, or to lesson 4. They talk about it in lessons. I know we're not on any kind of race, but at the pace we're going, since it is 21 lessons, I don't necessarily want to spend 2 years doing it, because there's a lot of great things that are in this book, and the more we understand it and start integrating it, the better for all of us. So I'm excited, and maybe the first 3 chapters in the books are the most difficult because there's a lot of letting go, there's a lot of realignment, there's a lot of surrender, a lot of trust that we all have to go through. And so I'm glad for my epiphany in seeing that there's just so many great things out there, and I get to choose what I want. And for me personally, and I'm sure a lot of people who are into Marianne Williamson and into different 12-step program philosophies and I guess the Course of Miracles, even though this is the Course of Weight Loss, will also understand about surrendering and really practicing that mantra, I cannot, but God can. I cannot, but God can. So until next time, I wish everybody a good week and look forward to sharing some insights with you very soon. Have a great day, great evening, great moment, wherever you are, wherever and whenever you're listening to this. Thank you very much.